This is Torah Nation TV from Jerusalem, and we are interviewing the head of Machon Shilo, Rabbi David Bar-Hayim. Shalom, Rabbi Bar-Hayim.
Shalom.
Many Jews feel that the Mikdash or the temple will miraculously descend from heaven. Others claim that we must build it with our own hands. Which of these positions is more authentic?
In Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus, Hashem commands the Jewish people, "V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti betocham," that they, the Jewish people, are to build a mikdash. The first mikdash was known as a mishkan, a tabernacle, which was built in the desert after the Jewish people left Egypt. This mishkan did not descend from heaven. The first permanent mikdash was the temple built by King Solomon, by Shilo HaMelech in Yerushalayim, approximately 2,900 years ago. That too did not descend from heaven. The second permanent structure was the temple built by the Jews who returned from the exile in Babylon about 2,500 years ago, and that too did not descend from heaven. So it is clear, based just on those simple facts, that this concept and this commandment of building a temple to Hashem is not something which is supposed to happen miraculously and descend from heaven. It is a mitzvah that the Jewish people are commanded by Hashem to perform and to make happen in the real world, just as we are told to do other kinds of mitzvot, such as building a sukkah or conquering and taking control of Eretz Yisrael. These things too are not performed by miracles, but by human action with deliberate forethought and planning. So why do some people nevertheless insist that the Mikdash is supposed to descend from heaven? We find in the Talmud Bavli, both in Masechet Rosh Hashanah and Masechet Sukkah, we find there a discussion which does not state explicitly, but does imply quite clearly that it is at least a definite possibility that the Mikdash could descend from heaven and appear very suddenly. And based on this, some people understand that this is how it must be. First of all, we must point out that, again, this is not stated by the Talmud Bavli, it is implied. Second of all, it does not state over there that it must be so, that it will be so. It discusses such a possibility. Regarding this possibility, that a structure the size of the Mikdash would literally descend from heaven and miraculously land a soft, gentle landing on Rabbi, on the Temple Mount, I think we must state clearly that this is part and parcel of the philosophy and of the approach to Judaism that I refer to frequently as Galut mode Judaism. Galut mode Judaism is heavily reliant on miracles, on irrational and far-fetched ideas and possibilities, and these irrational notions and miraculous events become not the exception but in fact the rule from the point of view of Galut mode Judaism. And that is why we find this implication in the Talmud Bavli as opposed to the Talmud Yerushalmi, the Talmud that was written in Eretz Yisrael. Not only does it not make such an implication or any such statement, in fact explicitly states the opposite. In Masechet Ma'aser Sheni, Perek He Halacha Bet 5.2, it states explicitly in the name of Rabbi Aha, an Amorah, in Eretz Yisrael. He says, Zot omeret, this teaches us, based on a certain discussion that appears there, which we will not go into now. He says, Zot omeret, this teaches us, or from here we can understand, She'atid bet hamikdash libanot kodem lemalchut bet David, that the mikdash will be rebuilt before the renewal of the monarchy and the house of David will reappear. That is to say, the Talmud Yerushalmi states explicitly that the mikdash will in the future be rebuilt by human agency, by the Jewish people returning to Eretz Yisrael and organizing themselves and directing themselves towards the aims and purposes of Hashem as described, as expressed in the Torah. They will return, they will rebuild the Mikdash, and this will be a stage which will eventually lead to Yemot HaMashiach, the days of the Messiah, the reconstitution of the Davidic dynasty, etc. So quite the reverse is found in the Talmud Yerushalmi. And here again, therefore, we find this clear dichotomy between the two Talmudim and between these two approaches and understandings of Judaism. One, Galut mode Judaism, which we find represented or implied in the Talmud Bavli, and the other, Geula mode Judaism, the Judaism of Eretz Yisrael, which is based on reality, on facts, not on miracles, not on irrational assumptions and suppositions. And that is why Rambam, in his halachic code, Mishneh Torah, makes no mention of any such notion. Nowhere does he suggest that the Mikdash will descend from heaven, and in fact he makes it very clear this will not be the case. This, by the way, was also, the statement of the Talmud Yerushalmi was also quoted by Rav Kook in a letter that he wrote to someone who asked him on this subject. I have in my possession a photocopy of that original letter, which, for reasons that I cannot explain, does not appear in the printed collection of Rav Kook's writings. So, to sum up, this issue is a classic example of Galut mode Judaism, irrational and based on an assumption of miracles, in which the Jewish people is passive and essentially unable to do what the Torah instructs it to do, and therefore Hashem has to step into the breach and take care of it, as opposed to the authentic, straightforward and more correct understanding of the Torah, which is based on the Jewish people being active, proactive, competent and capable of doing that which is expected of it and that which they are commanded by the Torah to do. And this is the approach that we must adopt.
Thank you, Harav Bar-Hayim. A word to our viewers. If you would like to sponsor or dedicate a video interview with Harav Bar-Hayim in honor or memory of a loved one, or if you would like to order a Birkon Nusach Eretz Yisrael, please email us at office@machonshilo.org.